properly.
That's expected. Nobody can see. The thing with mindfulness is very important to notice is it's kind of like a jar, right? We talk about it as a mindfulness jar. And the jar has all this gunk, all this stuff in there, but it's under the water. And mindfulness is taking a spoon and just stirring around that dirty jar. And so, as you're doing this, when you're becoming present, you're starting to notice all the underlying emotions, and it starts coming up. And many people feel very emotional while they
Okay, that
meditate.
explains a lot.
Yes, yeah, and that's normal. Okay, all of that is supposed to come up. Same thing, any practice you do where you open the closet and you look within you, there's going to be tons of stuff that's going to show up. There's a reason for it. Okay, the reason for tons of negativity to show up is for you to transmute it into light. Again, it's not to come and haunt you. It's for you. It's literally a healing process where it's allowing all that stuff to come up, and you watch it with no judgment and resistance. Very important. And as you watch it, it'll on its own start dissipating. So, Samrat, since you just came, today's session is all about the emotional sensations, all of that stuff. How do we watch that and dissolve that? Right?
Yeah. Thank you.
All of us, everyone in this call is like, hey, okay. Sometimes there are people who cannot feel anything, and that's not because they don't have emotions, or because they've blocked it or suppressed the way to feel emotions. So all of that is also going to be discussed today. So we're going to do a little bit of theory, and then we're going to go into a lot of practice, which means we're going to go into some pain today. Okay, the reason why like I was telling everyone else, Samrat, is the reason why I'm doing the pain body on the third session and not on the first session is because it takes a lot of observation power to sit with your emotions in difficult, when there's, like Vishwa said, stress. You feel stress in your body, upset, anxiety, or blocks, or anything. You feel it in your body first. To be able to watch it is something that takes a little bit of power, okay? Because otherwise it'll just come up and then over a whole day is gone and you'll be in that negative state. So I had to build you up to this point. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to begin to look at it from a deeper perspective. Hold on, I have to put my screen on the right side.
Someone is saying they are not able to connect.
Who said?
I don't know who it is. Certain as RKOY.
Rakesh. 1 second. Yeah, Ramesh. Okay, he should be able to come soon. If not, we have a recording. So, 1 second. I'm just trying to figure out. You cannot minimize Zoom when you're recording this meeting. Okay, all right. Now minimize you guys. So I have to. How do I go to the other side? Okay, so I'm trying to go to the other document, but it's not letting me share it. So, okay, let me just pause this recording for a second. And
Yeah, sure.
I'm still here. Don't worry. I'm just going to move to the other side. So I think. Okay, fine. Hold on. Stop the recording and then try to go on here. Then restart the recording. Don't give me the option. Okay. In the meantime, what you guys are basically going to do is you're going to open a new sheet of paper and you're going to write the words pain, dissolving pain. Dissolving pain. Okay. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes.
I'm going to mute everyone. Okay, there's a lot of noise on the background. So, but I think you guys have, okay, I'll unmute you guys as and when I ask you a question. So your title is Dissolving Pain. Okay. Now, when I say the word pain, what I mean is anything and everything. Okay. Anything and everything that does not feel good. Okay, make sense? So let me just put that up in a font everyone can hear. See, sorry, see, my brain has not woken up yet. It's still in my dream. So give me a second. Um, so let me unmute everyone. Yes, unmuted. Okay, so anything and everything that does not feel good. So can you guys give me examples of emotions that don't feel good? So feeling good is an evaluation, not a judgment. So can you give me examples of emotions that don't feel good or states that don't feel good?
Sadness,
Sadness. Okay, what else?
When
guilt,
you
Okay, one second. Sadness, she said,
what sound is that?
I don't know. It's not coming from my side. It's coming from God's side. Sadness, guilt. Okay, what else?
Uh,
Which
Fear.
one?
not
Fear.
feel fear.
Stress.
Stress.
What else? Any sort of negative emotion, right?
anxiety,
Yeah. Anxiety, depression. These are physical sensations. Sensations. You can feel them in your body, right?
Yeah.
So any negative feeling, any negative feeling. Okay. Now, what else doesn't feel good? Physical pain, right?
Yeah.
Physical pain is also something that doesn't feel good.
There's
Also,
this one more thing, like feeling, like when you're feeling not in control of your schedule or day, and something else is controlling your surrounding.
yeah,
That doesn't feel good.
yeah, feeling not in control,
Yeah.
feeling restless. So I'll tell you an example, personal example. So I had my intention ceremony Bangalore yesterday, right? So the previous day on Friday, I was in yoga class, and my mind was present, but sometimes it's thinking, "Oh, I have to finish this class quickly because I've got to go back home. I've got to prepare for the workshop." So I can feel this physical sensation of wanting to get up and leave, right? I got to get up and leave, and then you watch that. It was just a restlessness inside the body, right? Okay. Give me a couple of more examples. Let me unmute. Yeah. Okay. So by the way, you guys can mute yourselves if there's too much background noise or you don't need to say anything. That way, I don't have to mute you. Okay. So anything else? Any other negative sensations or feelings? So let's say sensations. Sometimes you may feel, a pain in your heart, or you may feel something in your stomach, or you may feel little, stiffness in your neck or heaviness in your head, right? This is called them sensations. So all of the stuff that we have talked about, okay. So I'm just going to go into now. So all of this stuff here, okay, we can call as pain. Okay, is everyone following so far?
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll give you the next part of it. Okay? So we all have experienced pain, have we not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Some of us may not experience it as deeply as some other people. Some of us experience it very, very deeply. So when I had my anxiety disorder, I used to go through all of this
Hey,
constantly.
anger. We forgot to write anger.
Yeah, any negative emotion. So we
Okay.
can't put everything up in here as any
Yeah.
negative emotion. But yeah, we'll put it out separately also. Anger. Okay. Good. Now, I'm going to draw a human being. Hopefully, it looks good after getting 1 hour of sleep. Okay, so this time I'm going to draw the head, and I'm going to draw just the body, kind of decapitated from his head, but anyway, you get the. um, and I'm going to draw his arms and legs. So, got his arms right here, and go down. Vishwa, make sure you tell if Rakesh is not here, Ramesh is not here. Make sure you tell him the ID is the same as the previous one. Maybe he's on a different ID. I'm gonna
Okay.
call this.
Okay.
I'm gonna call this man and woman. Okay, can everyone see my Van Gogh painting?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is a human being. Now, when this human being was born, okay, he was kind of clean. If you notice, kids, they don't have much emotional baggage or pain or upset or low self-esteem or anything. When a baby is born, he's pretty much consciousness. That's what I was telling you guys last time. He's just aware of everything. He's noticing his body. He's noticing that sensations he's feeling. He's noticing his mum. He's just kind of in the awareness state. There's no mind is not formed very clearly yet, right? It's just forming. Now, as he grows older, okay. So take your own examples. As you were growing older, something happened at some age that caused an impression on you, an emotional impression. Okay, something happened. Your brain got frightened of something, or your fight or flight or your survival instinct kicked in. Something happened and it traumatized you in some way. Some emotion happened, but nobody taught you how to release that emotion. You started crying, okay, and your mom said, "Stop it, stop it. Big girls don't cry. Big boys don't cry." Right? So you could release this emotion, and or nobody was there to actually sit down with you and for you to actually share it or get things out of your system. So we internalized it, right? So that pain got deposited somewhere inside of our subconscious mind, somewhere in the body. So the body is a reflection of the mind. Okay, when the mind is troubled, the body is troubled. You feel all the anxiety, anger, upset, everything in the body. So this little pain started developing inside the body, somewhere in your subconscious mind, unconscious mind, conscious mind. This pain was there, but you didn't release it, so it's still there. Okay, it's still there right now. Also in your body, it's still there. Now, what happened is life continued to dish out things that upsetted you, and you did not know how to release it, right? That energy of that upset again started forming like this. So, over time, over 20 years, maybe more, it started becoming like this. One thing after another, it just kept accumulating, the pain accumulated in all of us, every single one of us. That's where our lower self comes from. The self that is full of pain and negativity and doesn't believe it's possible, and it's all full of negativity and upset. All of that stuff comes from this pain body. Okay? Now, this is what most people look like. They're literally walking jars of pain, except they're not conscious of it. Okay? It's in the background. It doesn't show up very actively for many people. Hold on. Yeah, I hope I'm recording this. Recording on the computer. So it doesn't show up very actively for most people. Okay. So what that looks like is this general sense of irritation or a general arrogance that one can feel, but it's not that active. Okay. Every one of us has this one. I hope everyone's following and no one's fallen asleep. Is everyone following?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Allah, please feel free to stop me and tell me, Karthika, you're boring us. Change the way you're teaching, so so that it's easier for me to get to you all. Okay, otherwise you lose out on what I'm saying. So what happens is, our let's call this person. Let's give him a name. Give this person a name. Give me a name.
Give me my name.
Okay, okay. Let's call him Vishwa. Okay. Now, and this pain body, if he can observe his pain body, is he his pain body? When I say pain body, I'm talking about all this pain energy living inside of Vishwa. Is he that pain, or is he the observer of that pain?
Ideally, observer of the pain.
Ideally, observer of the pain. Okay, so let's look at not ideally, but factually, observer of the pain. Okay.
Okay.
But he's just not practicing it. But he's always the observer. He never leaves
Okay.
the pain, right? Because that's who he actually is outside of his name, Vishwa. He's actually just the observer state. If you remember those three circles last time, the big circle and the small circles, right?
Yeah.
Awareness,
Yeah.
mind, body, yeah. So he's always awareness, and the body and mind holds this pain. Okay, so he's the observer. So I'm going to call this pain body a different name, because it's not us. This anger you feel, the restlessness, out of control, physical sensation, negativity, depression, block, no sensation, all of that is not who we actually are. It's just the pain body, right? It's just the experience of sensations of pain in the body. That's not who we are. We're just experiencing it. So I'm going to give this person a name. Okay, I'm going to call it PIB because it stands for pain in the butt, but I'm just calling it PIB. Okay? Because it really is, right? It just comes out randomly. Somebody says something, and suddenly Pip shows up with his boxing gloves on, ready to have a fight. You go, what did you say? What did you say? How dare you insult me? Right? That's Pip.
Yeah.
Right? So, going beyond this. So, Pib, I'm going to give you the history of Pib. Okay. So, the reason why I'm giving you a separate name for this guy, Pib, is because he's not you. Everyone is confusing Pib for themselves. They're saying, I am angry. I am restless. I am anxious. I am depressed. Hello, you're not. Pib is anger. Pib is anxiety. Pib is restlessness. Pib is depression. You are the experiencer of all of these emotions in your body, but you are not the emotions. Right? Most people say, I am an anxious person. No, you're an experiencer of anxiety. Two different things, right?
Mm.
This is where one level of freedom comes in by disassociating. What happened is PIB for most people is dormant. Okay, the reason I'm going into all of these details is because it makes sense to you a lot more when you review. So for most people, it's dormant. You'll never see PIB come out very actively for most people. Right? So you'll see them angry once in a while, or they'll be slightly irritated, but not really that much. Then you have some of us whose PIB is very active. Active by the pain body is active in the sense that it causes mental issues, it causes upset for others, we hurt other people really badly, we hurt ourselves really badly. Most of the time, people is hurting us only. It's telling all the negative things, it's putting us down, it's making us feel out of control, right? So the active pain body is something that is like a volcano erupting. I don't know if you've seen it. This usually happens with people who suppress their pain for many years, like people who are in their 50s, 60s. Like we see your parents' generation, anything could tick them off, and they'll just start yelling just like that. There was no reason for them to get upset, but they'll get upset and start making a havoc in the house because their fib has been suppressed up in their body for so many years, right? And that's the active state. Dormant state is like this background anxiety. Okay, so most people are like, generally not very happy, generally anxious, or not generally anxious, but kind of there's a background, something's not right. Something is just this like like zombies, some background sensation of something's right. But active is when they are ready to have a fight with everyone, or they just continuously keep crying, or they just go into constant anxiety, and it's just they've lost control of themselves. That's the active pain body. Is everyone following so far?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is loss of control, and this is more like a zombie state.
I have add something.
Yes.
So it's like when we are having in a happy or normal state, when you're having a casual conversation with someone,
Mhm.
suddenly some statement or some phrases can be related to something we experienced maybe a couple of years ago. So
Yeah.
at that time, it's like we are about to explode with lot of emotions.
Yeah, exactly. You just described exactly what I just said. So let's take that situation Vishwa said. Okay, so he said something. He is having a conversation with somebody, and he's being present with what that person is saying, right? But Vishwa still has a mind. You remember the circles, right? The three circles. You have the
Mm-hmm.
mind, body, the emotions, and the fourth circle is the experience of the person. So past is where? Where does the past exist? In Vishwa's mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Vishwa doesn't yet know how to observe his mind because he didn't practice tagging thoughts. Or he practiced tagging thoughts, but the pain body, he doesn't know yet how to dissolve it because he hasn't come to our third session just yet, right? So Vishwa's pain body is kind of like an active pain body because I know Vishwa. And he as a person has an active pain body because he suppressed a lot of nonsense because he always felt that he must be nice and he shouldn't be upsetting to other people. So he kind of kept that pain body within him to a point where it became this volcanic, started growing up in him for so many years that it became, right on the surface, ready to explode, where he's ready to lose control. So his pain body kind of looks like this. Okay. This is what it looks like. Active. He's just vibrating upset, but he's not conscious of it. Now what happens is This pain body, remember, this is Pib, not Vishwa. Okay, this pain body is right up in the surface. Anything can trigger it. Sometimes the smallest thing somebody says not even relevant, but Pip is like already vibrating so high in that thing of nobody respects me, nobody likes me. Pip is that being that's like a pretty lower self, right? It's a lower self that feels unappreciated or not good enough or whatever, and it's way up here. It's like when you eat something that upsets your stomach, you want to puke it out. Is way up here, right? That's just like your pain body. It's all up here. It's all up inner upset that's come till here, and anything can trigger it off. So let's say you're not aware that Pib is hanging around in the background. So you're just talking to a friend of yours, and your friend says something, and Pib is right there listening the whole time. And suddenly Pib goes, "Hey, what the hell? How could you say that to me? Who do you think you are? You're making it so. Pip is the one doing all of this anger, ready to fight kind of a thing. So Pip gets up and starts putting thoughts in Vishwa's mind and putting emotions in Vishwa's body, which is that of anger, upset, negativity. And Vishwa, because he didn't know how to watch Pip, he decided to listen to what Pip said and believe what Pip said, and he reacted to the situation, to the thoughts in his head, and to the emotions in his body. I hope everyone's following, okay?
Yeah.
And because he reacted to it, he resisted and judged the situation, right? He ended up causing more suffering for himself and probably for the other person also. Okay, so that intense emotion, like you said, so he said, I can't watch my thoughts when I'm in stress, right? What is stress? It's Pib. When Pib takes over, unless you're able to consciously watch him and dissolve him, he will cause you to have so many thoughts rush through your head, because there's this much of energy that is causing 1,000 thoughts to pop up in your head. And now, if you're going to try to tag those thoughts alone and not dissolve the pain that goes along with those thoughts, it's very difficult. Is everyone following so far?
Yeah.
Yeah? Anushka, are you following?
Yeah.
Okay, please feel free to ask me any questions in the chat, okay? So now, how does a pain body work? Okay, so remember, pain body, this thing is kind of like a neutral thing, as in it's not out here to get you, but the nature of Pib is just like that. It needs something to feed off of all the time. It's like the ego. It is the ego. All that I'll explain later. But it needs to exist. It'll keep making you think and feel in ways that give it its existence. Another way to say it is the cells of your body, every cell in your body has a cell membrane. And in the membrane of your cell, you have receptors that are receiving certain brain chemicals all the time. Okay, now these brain chemicals, if it's all the time of negative emotions, if your brain chemicals are all the time in negative emotions, what happens is that the cell receptors, with every new cell that is born with more receptors for those negative emotions. But if you don't feed those receptors with negative emotion, there's like it goes into a little withdrawal symptoms kind of thing, because it's so used to being addicted to negative emotion that it goes into withdrawal symptom, and it creates situations and thoughts. Basically, it's kind of like the physical aspect of the pain body. It needs pain. People need drama. People need pain in order to continue living. Without pain, they think there's no life, right?
Yeah, it's a vacuum feeling. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like feeling something's missing from my life. That is pain, right? Because you're sitting and trying to get over pain, but then the part of your body that's addicted to pain so much is trying to get its fix. It's like a drug addiction, trying to get its fix. So it's going to try to, the pain body hasn't gone away completely. So it's going to try to cause you to think or feel in ways that's going to trigger off Pib again. Okay? So the best way to deal with this is to learn to do what? Does anyone have an idea? It's the same thing that we did in the previous sessions.
Watch the pain.
Exactly.
okay.
Okay. So you're watching the pain, but you've got to understand. Let me clear the drawing this one out. Okay. So we understood pain body so far, and I said, how do you dissolve the pain body? You watch it, right? So how to dissolve the pain body. So pain body includes when you don't feel anything, when you feel numb. That also is pain body because you're not in alignment with who you are. Your natural self is not numb. Your pain body has become so painful that it became numb because your brain couldn't handle the pain, so it numbed out that sensation from your body. Even that is a form of pain body. So, so Deepa said, how to dissolve pain body? She said, observe it, okay, without.
Judgment or resistance.
Yeah, you should tattoo this in your hand. You know, this is what I did. I literally got that tattooed on me, so I never forgot it. Without judgment and resistance. So what does that look like? So let's say you remember there's you and then there's Pib. Okay, you're observing Pib in all its forms. Remember, what is Pib? Anything that doesn't feel good is Pib. Okay, you're observing Pib in all its forms, however it shows up, without judgment and resistance. Okay, and what happens right after this when you do this? What you'll notice for those who have a very dormant, that means not active Pib. Okay, it's just a background anxiety or a background sense of restlessness or a background sense of unease. It's now very active. They'll watch their pain body and maybe some of it will come up and then it'll start dissolving. But for those of us who have some serious pain body, okay, serious pain body takes a little bit more, concentration to sit with that pain body. And what happens is the moment you begin to watch your pain body, you will get lots of it come up. Okay, because you're like looking into a well, right? And you're trying to dig a well, it's like you're looking for water, you're trying to look for the pain body and suddenly you hit something and whoosh, all the water comes up, right? Same thing. It's like trying to dig for oil. Except the value of digging for your pain, or not digging like thinking, but just watching your pain body. The value of doing that is more than gold because you're cleaning up on all forms of suffering inside of you, so you're in freedom. So a lot of it comes up. Let's just have a look at the chat here. My window says you're not recording. Okay, Vishwa, if I'm not recording, you are recording, so just send me the recording. Because it's showing me I'm recording, but it also said that I can't share my screen. So I don't know. Anyway, if you're recording, it's okay. All right, so a lot of it comes up. Okay.
Hey Karthik, I have a question. If a lot of it comes up, how does it manifest itself when it comes up?
How do you feel when you're going through extreme anger, extreme fear, or extreme anxiety, extreme pain, or extreme suffering? And how does it manifest? You'll feel it in your body. You'll feel that throat is hurting, heart is aching. You're crying so much. You want to get up and punch the walls. You want to break things. Remember, you had a breakdown once.
Yeah.
That's Pib, not you. Okay, I kept telling you that too, but now I hope you get it.
Okay.
Pib. Pib comes up and just takes all the books and throws it on the floor and goes and yells at everyone. And and Pib is the one that says, oh, you disrespected me, so I'm going to make you feel the pain back. And so they go and hurt other people and write horrible messages to them, or go and yell at them and insult them. And that's all Pib, not you. Okay. That doesn't mean that you don't take responsibility for what you do. You must watch Pib and dissolve it so that you don't create more pain for other people.
Actually, I had to add two things.
Mm.
One is, yesterday I had an experience about this explosion thing.
Mm-hmm.
So at first I tried to observe it, like it's a pain body that is working.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, my pain was so much that I couldn't observe it, but I had to release it.
Yeah.
But that I released to my mom.
Yeah, so you yelled at her.
Yeah, sort of. Not like in a bad way.
Ah.
But I said about some things happened earlier.
That's still not you. That's still Pib.
Yeah. But after a few seconds, I could feel some sort of like coolness in my head. Like I released something.
Yeah, you released Pib in a way.
Yeah.
You can express it out. Okay?
One more thing.
Hmm.
Other thing is, before another incident, it's like I tried to observe the pain.
Mm-hmm.
but that caused a physical sensation on me. Like a heart was like, what will you say? Something weight is kept on my heart.
That's Pib.
Yeah. So while that thing is happening, I couldn't observe it. Like it's coming as a vicious circle. Like,
Yeah, because you've not practiced enough to be able to watch it.
okay.
So understand, when I went, so first of all, I went through an anxiety disorder, which is Pib in a very intense form. Okay, where the anxiety is so massive, it's panic. It's the highest levels of anxiety, meaning you believe you're dying constantly throughout the day, throughout the night. You're in this illusion of you're dying, you're dying, you're dying. Now, and I went through that for like 3 years. Now, to be able to watch that high intensity, you have to have a daily practice. But for some people, because the mind is lost, the pib is lost control so much, to get it back in control, to be able to, it's like a child, right? They're jumping all over the place and you're trying to go like, oh, how is happening, right? You've got to watch the child enough for the child to come down to some level of sanity, and then it's easier to watch, but you have to practice. Okay, so I'll give you examples.
Okay.
So here, Pib loves pain and drama is what I've written down. Most of us are not watching the pain body. And Vishwa, I'm very sure you're not watching the pain body, and I'll tell you why. Most of us are now watching the pain body. We are fueling the pain body by continuously thinking about what's causing us pain and continuously thinking about the situation. So Vishwa might say, oh, I'm watching the pain body, but I'm also thinking about how unfair it was that this happened. I'm watching the pain body, but I'm also thinking about how in my past also these guys did the same thing, right?
Yeah,
So
same. Yeah.
exactly, I can make out. The reason why I can make out is because most people are still living as Pib and not as their awareness. Because the awareness can watch anything, no matter how intense. But if you're not able to watch your pain body, it's because you're still not living in the state of awareness. You're still living as Pib, who's trying to watch himself. Right? So Pib is trying to watch himself, and 1 minute he's watching his pain in the body, and the other minute he's thinking about all the reasons why he should be upset, right? So still not watching. You're still in the cycle of mind. Okay, make
Okay.
sense? Everyone following so far? Please tell me if you're following. Deepa, are you following?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I say Pib loves pain and drama is because it feeds him. Okay. If you stop the cycle of pain and drama in your life, Pib gets really irritated. So he'll keep trying to get more of your attention and cause more pain and more drama. But your job is to continue watching. Okay, this is why mindfulness is not the easiest thing, but yet the easiest thing at the same time. You got to continue watching, and as you continue watching, I told you last time, right? It's like that sibling of yours that keep going na 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 na. The more you don't react, meaning even emotionally, energetically, you don't react, this thing will keep doing this. It doesn't bother you, whether it's anger, upset, pain, anxiety, not feeling anything, block, whatever it's doing. As long as you watch it, no judgment, no resistance is doing this, you continue doing your work, eventually this will lose its energy because you're not feeding it, and then start doing it, and it's gone. And then a couple of days later, it'll come back again, but little slowly this time, not as bad. Or it might come back even worse because you might have hit a well of pain inside of you. It might come back. The same process. Keep watching, keep observing. No judgment, no resistance, and then you continue doing your thing. You lose its energy. So, is it possible to watch intense emotions or watch when nothing is going on in your body, or watch when you are feeling any slight irritation? Any slight irritation is also PIB. Okay, so don't confuse yourself saying I'm not in extreme suffering, therefore I'm not in the pain body. Even the slightest irritation. Remember, I said, what is the pain body? Anything and everything that does not feel good, including irritation. How many of us feel this slight irritation throughout the day? Something slightly not right. It's something slight irritation we have about something or the other during the day, right? So that is PIB. Understand? So PIB will keep trying to create drama in your life. If you have a relationship with a partner and that partner is a nice person and there's no drama in the relationship, PIB is going to not like it. So PIB wants to create drama. So it'll feel like, oh man, this relationship is so boring. There's no drama. Let me find some way to create some drama so I can get fed. Okay, that's PIB. So I have a client of mine. He wrote to me the other day going, oh, I did yoga today, but I couldn't even sit down straight for 1 minute. I couldn't even meditate for 1 minute. I've tried this is so long and I'm still not able to do it. And I said, what's the problem? Just practice. There's no problem there. He's like, sorry, Pip just wanted some drama. Right? You understand? Drama is when we go into this thing of, oh man, nobody's watching my videos. Oh, I'm still stuck in my life. Oh, that's all Pip wanting drama. Okay? Because Pip is like that complaining aunt. Right? Constantly complaining about her leg, her hand, her everything. That is Pip. It's like complaining aunt. Alright? So you're understanding what Pib is like, the pain body, right? So we define the pain body as all of this stuff. Okay, everyone following? Rupendra following?
Yeah.
Okay. Samrat, are you following? Samrat? Okay, wait, I unmuted you. No, you muted yourself. Okay. Unmute yourself and tell me if you're following. Deepa following?
Yes, yes.
Okay, who else is here? Anushka, are you following?
Hey, yeah,
Yes.
for
Okay, good. So feel free to ask questions in the chat, okay? I want to make sure you all take as much as possible for my session. So now we're going to go into practice. So remember, anytime during the week that you feel anything other than good, you are in Pib.
Pip.
All you need to do is watch Pib, observe him in all its forms, whatever form it takes, that is not pleasant for you. And you want to watch it without judgment and resistance. So can anybody give me an example of what it looks like to judge when Pib comes up? Give me an example of what it may look like or feel.
but sometimes you get lost in thought. You are not in the present moment. If anybody is with you, they'll tell you, hey, what happened? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, lost in thought. Okay, so that's Pib. Pib comes up and takes you up all over the place. Pib is like, oh, you remember that time also she said like that? Oh, do you remember that time also you made me feel like this? Oh, you remember how everyone in your life is watching? And you remember how you failed in that exam? And you remember that's all Pib. Okay, Pib is trying to get what? Pib loves pain and drama, wants its fuel. So he's going to take you into your lost in thought state so that he gets a lot of nice num food for himself, right? And the more num food you give him, the more he becomes bigger and bigger in your life, right? The more you feed him, the bigger he becomes. Then as you grow older, you become 50 years old, smallest of things can upset you and you'll just start yelling at your wife or your husband and your kids and yelling at your boss and getting fired and da.
This is just like that monster in the Buddha story, no?
Exactly. The monster Buddha story was Pib. That's the best part. Right? So that's why I spoke about the story last time. The more you resist Pib, the bigger he becomes. The more you embrace him, no matter what his form, he becomes smaller and smaller. Okay. This is the reason why I healed out of panic and anxiety. Is because I watched anxiety for so long that it just dissolved on its own. I didn't need medications or CBT or anything else. So that's the thing. So lost in thought. Another way of judging pain body, Pip, is to say this is bad. I'm feeling negative and this is bad, right? We do that, right? The moment we have anger, we're like, oh, why am I so angry all the time? I can't control myself. I'm doing mindfulness and still I'm so bad at this. That's judging. Okay? Pip. Another thing is, resisting Pip. Which if you resist Pip, God save your soul, because he will come back in some furious state. If you resist, meaning you're pushing it down, you're trying to ignore the fact that you're feeling upset in this moment, right? And that's what a lot of people do with positive thinking, is that they've got all this going on in the surface. A lot of pain is coming up. But then they're ignoring the pain and they're just trying to switch into positive thinking. But this pain energy doesn't get transmuted like that. You have to watch it enough to transmute it. So these guys are still in pain, but then they're trying to think positive and then they feel really stuck because one side of them is going in this direction, the other side is going in this direction, and they're being pulled in two directions. And then they're like, what is going on? I'm doing all this positive thinking, but I still feel like I'm in pain, right? That's because they're resisting it, okay? They're trying to push it down or ignore it, right? So I'll give you an example. So do you remember how I said physical pain is also a form of Pib, right? Have you noticed the days that you are particularly mentally upset, your body also sometimes your stomach will get upset, or your your legs will pain and knees will pain. Knee pain is associated a lot with self-esteem and self-related issues.
Yeah, I have experienced the stomach upsetting.
Yeah, stomach upset. Okay, especially with anxiety people, we are just running to the bathroom all the time because because the nerves are right here, and so when it gets upset, the stomach gets upset. So what we would do, okay, so let's say there is a person, let's give him a name, different name now. Let's call him Rupert. Okay, I don't know why I got that name, but let's go with it. So we have Rupert, okay, and Rupert is very stressed about this presentation he has to give in the office, okay. And what happened is, as Rupert was getting stressed, he started.
Kartika, that is my pet name in my office. People call me Rupert.
I don't know why I got that name up. I'm telling you, some psychic thing just happened. Okay. So in your office, okay, let's say Rupert, hey, Rupendra, Rupert, yeah, I get it. Okay. So Rupert is stressed and he starts having a headache. Okay. And what our friend tries to do is he tries to either pop a pill. Okay. Popping a pill, he either kind of ignores it or pushes it down and tries to push it in the background or something he'll do, or he'll do something. He'll just kind of ignore it. Let's say he ignores his headache and he goes to office. Okay, and he delivers his presentation. Now, what happens is that pain body is still there. It's in his head. It's coming back as a throbbing headache, and it's telling him, "Hey, listen, give me some attention, let's dissolve this thing," or the body is saying, give the pain and attention so you can dissolve it. But Rupert decides to ignore it again. So he's like, no, my buddies are going to the bar, so let me go to the bar. So he goes to the bar and he starts drinking some alcohol or whatever, he's trying to forget the fact that headache is happening. But the headache is still there, he's still ignoring it. So what happens is the headache starts building up, the energy builds up, and eventually he starts having a migraine. Okay, and now his body is also reacting. He's feeling really nauseated. His head is pounding, right? But he completely ignores it again, and he goes out somewhere else, or he does something else, and he's just not giving the pain in his body any awareness or attention. Pain is only a stuck energy. If you watch it, it'll start unstucking itself. So he doesn't give any energy. He doesn't give any awareness to the pain. So it starts mounting up in the background as stress. As he does this over many years, no matter what his diet, no matter what his exercise, one day our friend has a heart attack. Not you, Rupendra, I'm just giving some random report. He has a heart attack. Now, the doctors are saying, okay, this guy has great health in the sense that he eats really well, he's exercising, but he still has a heart attack. Have you ever met people like that? Who've got a great diet and great exercise, but they still have tons of physical problems. Have you met those guys?
Yeah.
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 That is PIB showing up in the physical form. That you kept ignoring it, and now it shows up as a heart attack, or it shows up as some sort of a block, or it shows up as I'm telling you guys, all cancer, including the cancer of children, because you're carrying PIB even subconsciously from other lifetimes. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I believe. I'm not saying it's a fact. But they say that when sperm is traveling, your knowledge or the data you carry goes through the sperm as well. Information goes through sperm as well. So child could be carrying a lot of subconscious data. We don't know. But all cancer is PIB showing up in its physical form. All cancer. Okay, because cancer starts from the mind first. Okay, it starts from PIB, and PIB grows into other physical disorders and other mental disorders and any sort of disorder outside of being order and normal. Everyone's following?
Yes.
Yeah, now I think you correlate this one with my father who passed away with colon cancer, because he was like a person who was eating healthy, living healthy throughout his life. He never went to any hospital. He never took any pill, but all of a sudden, when we found it was a stage 4 cancer, and he hardly survived 2 months after. So now I think that is what was going on with him.
Yeah, it's the case with anybody who's ever felt physically unwell. Anything that you feel, it's like this. The heavier your mind, the heavier your body. The more energy is stuck in your body, the more it has to manifest in some form because it's energy. It has to go from one form to another form. So it goes into the form that represents the vibration it's at, which is dis-ease that is created wherever the thing is stuck. So some people have a lot of knee joint pain. Some people, and the thing is, many times, see what the doctors are doing is these guys are just giving medicines to cover up the whole symptom, but they're not understanding that underneath the symptom is an energy field called PIB, right?
Hmm.
PIB, the energy field is still there. No matter how much medicines you give, the problem keeps recurring over and over and over again. They call it what do they call it? Where the disease keeps coming over and over again, no matter how much treatment you do, right? And you see this with the previous generation a lot because
Relapse, I think.
yeah, they relapse because the energy, the PIB is still there, right? PIB just keeps showing up in different forms. So here's the thing: the previous generation, these guys, they just went to medications for anything. They have a fever, they'll pop a pill. They had pain in their leg, they'll pop a pill. So they just took to farm, like especially if you see your parents' generation, when they meet together, how many of you have experienced them discussing medicines, doctors, ill health? How many of you have heard them
All the
I
time.
all the
yeah, all the time.
all the time?
All the time.
Exactly. All the time. Now that's all they focus their energy on. That's all they're doing is Pib loves pain and drama. Remember, so they talk about every relative who's in the hospital right now. They'll talk about that newspaper article about how 10 people died there. They'll
They
talk.
kind of enjoy doing
They
that. That's
love
what.
it
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
Pib
yeah.
loves drama. All of us, how
Hmm.
many of us have gone onto the weird side of YouTube where we're just watching all the negative content, right? That gives us that sense of drama. We love it. Pib loves it, not we, but Pib loves it. Okay. Same with the that generation loves talking about negativity because they've gotten into that Pib state. They're not in awareness at all. They've gotten possessed by PIB. Okay, that's the issue. So all of this physical. So now, if I look back, if you go back to this, sadness is what is PIB. Okay, remember I told you throughout your life PIB started accumulating in your body, right? And one of its forms is sadness. So when you are in this in extreme state of sadness, what happens is they will start creating more thoughts that make you feel even sad. Have you ever experienced that? The day you feel sad, your mind will pull up every reason in your life to feel sad. Have you experienced
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. That is PIB. Loves pain and drama. Okay? Loves pain and drama. It's like the complaining aunt. The day something goes wrong, you lose a competition, guess what? Every possible competition you've lost will be pulled up by PIB in your mind and you'll be sucked into the state of being, you'll be possessed by PIB, basically. Okay? So, a part of you might be asking, well, Kartika, does that mean that you don't experience emotions, you don't be human in life? No, that's not what it means. You can have emotions as many times as you want to. But to suffer, having an emotion is an emotional state, it's an experience, it comes and goes. But to constantly be in suffering is when you have given into PIB. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Most people are suffering. Most people. Okay? Most people in the world are suffering. That's why they're constantly in the state of not in control or feeling powerless to the world or feeling like life is gone and I'm stuck and I'm going to die and suicide. Where is suicidal depression, suicide? What do you think is convincing somebody to commit suicide? Is it spirit?
No, it's pain.
It's PIB.
Okay.
Because PIB loves pain and drama. If you've ever seen somebody, I don't know if you've seen those documentaries on people who are jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. If you see those documentaries, all of them will tell you one thing in common, that when they were, when they decided to jump, it was almost like something had possessed them. They couldn't think clearly at all. Okay, and the moment they jumped, suddenly something cleared out of them, and suddenly clarity came in, and they regretted the fact that they jumped. Hmm? That's when suddenly PIB disappears or kind of gets disassociated from the body. Okay, when PIP gets, because the pain is so much that your body has to disassociate for survival. Suddenly, the survival instinct kicks in and disassociates from PIP. The moment that happens, this guy realizes that he's done something wrong and he just prays for his survival, and then he might survive or he might die. This is a common case. Many people who are suffering is basically PIP. Okay, they inside of PIP, they're being possessed by PIP. They go ahead and try to commit suicide, including myself multiple times in my life. PIP is taken over and they try to cut the hand, and PIP tries to, take poison and this and that. But the moment your survival instinct or your consciousness kicks in, guess what? You start regretting it. You'll be like, oh crap, right? That's what Sadhguru says, right? I'm not a Sadhguru fan or anything, but he says something really nice. I don't know if it was Sadhguru who said it or who said it, but he talks about if somebody who's all suicidal wants to die, but you stick their head in water, they're going to want to gasp for air, right? Because the instinct to survive is stronger than the instinct to die. But the only reason the instinct to die becomes strong is because that person is lost himself in the state of PIP. Is everyone following?
Yeah.
Okay? In other words, he got.
Can you adjust your screen? Your face, only half of your face can be seen.
That's okay. You don't have to see my face.
No, I mean, so then I can feel the expression.
Possessed by PIP. Okay, I'm telling you, you will notice this in everybody. You'll notice it in yourself. Okay, when you start practicing pain body work, you'll notice PIP in everyone. You'll walk out of this call today, you'll notice your mom is also being PIP, your dad is being PIP, your wife is being PIP, your kids are being PIP. When I say being PIP, meaning you're being possessed by it. You believe you are all your negative thoughts and your negative emotions, and I am this and I am that. That's not you. That's PIP and his little stories to constantly be in a state of pain and drama. Can you imagine the gravity of what I'm telling you right now?
Yeah.
It's a huge thing, what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Most people have never ever had the pleasure or the gift of being in a call like this and knowing this. And if they knew this, guess what would happen to crime in this world and to suicide and pain in the world? People will just begin to observe their own pain in all its forms without judgment and resistance and dissolve it. There will no longer be need to cause more pain and drama in the lives of other people and in the lives of ourselves, which will cause the world a space to go into inspiration. So a lot of people say, if there's no pain, there's no growth, which is true. That's true. Okay? So some amount of pain body will always be there in the evolution of mankind. But too much of pain body has created the world where a couple of days ago there was a shooting in America, right? Or some kidnapping is happening, or ISIS, or whatever. All these guys are possessed by PIB. Something happened, they got into the pain, they got possessed, and now they're killing other people because PIB loves pain and drama. Why do you think somebody enjoys hurting somebody else? Would a happy person hurt anybody else?
No.
Somebody who's free of his pain body hurt anybody else? Would he have any reason to? No.
No.
Look at the world affairs. Look at ourselves. When we're hurting ourselves, hurting our parents, hurting our people around us, myself included, we are not being us. We are being the PIB. Pain body. Pain body is doing all of this drama. Okay? Now, how do we dissolve it? So here's where we're going to go into practice. So I'm going to ask you guys to walk into your pain body, but understand it's just pain body. It's just sensations and thoughts. Okay? So it's safe for you to walk into your pain body now. Some of you might feel like releasing it through tears or writing, and that's okay. Some of you might feel like you can watch it and there's no release, you don't need to release it. But understand that you are safe. Okay, so don't get scared when you do this exercise. Because we all do it all throughout the day, watching the paper. So I'm going to ask you to remember the last time you were mad at something. Okay? Take a few seconds and try to remember when was the last time you were upset about something. Okay?
Okay.
Has everyone got one thing that you're upset about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anushka?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. All of us remember the last time you were upset. Samrat, your train is in the background, so I'll mute you. Okay. So last time you were upset, it could have been earlier today, last week, anything. Choose something that's not too traumatic, and yet still you still can feel a little irritation when you think about that experience. Okay. So I want you all to, okay, so remember very clearly, you are not Pip, so don't get sucked into it and possessed by it. Just observe it. So understand that Pip will show up as feelings in your body. Okay, so when you remember this, time that you were upset last, you remember the memory of it. Something happened, or just something, someone said something, whatever, and you felt upset in your body, right? You will feel it in your body. So I want you to now take a few moments to just close your eyes and go through that experience. Go through that experience, and that feeling will immediately surface in your body. Tell me when you can feel that feeling in your body, when you can feel Pip show up in your body. Just tell me, yes, I can feel it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, Vishwa can feel it. So just notice where you can feel it in your body. Okay,
Yeah,
is
it's
it
the chest sensation.
chest sensation? Okay, see, remember, it's just a sensation. Nothing for you to be feeling scared about anything. You're just
Okay.
the awareness of the feeling in your sensation. This is Pip showing up as a feeling in your sensation. Now, Vishwa, if you were to rate this from 0 to 10, the intensity of this sensation, what is your rating?
So now I can rate it as 7.
7. Okay. Now, let go of the memory in your head. Okay. Now, just stay with the feeling of pain. If thoughts come, just come back to the feeling state, that pain
Okay.
in your chest. Okay. I want you to watch it without judgment, meaning don't say this is a positive or negative thing. Just say it's just a thing, it's just a sensation. Okay. And I want you to non-resist it, meaning just embrace it. Allow it to become super intense. Allow it to become less intense. Allow it to do whatever it needs to do, and just watch it and breathe with it. You're just watching, like you're watching something in the park. You're watching this sensation in your heart. Okay,
Mm.
just watch it. If your thoughts come up, just come back to the feeling state. Okay, because if you can dissolve your feeling, you'll dissolve the thoughts also, because it's the same energy. So keep breathing.
All of us are to do this, right?
Yeah, all of you do this. Okay? Just watch wherever the pain body is coming up. Just see whether it's in your stomach or all over your body or in your head or in multiple places. It's just Pib. He's a friend. You are friendly towards it. You allow it to be intense. You allow it to be less intense. Just watch it. It's like having an ice cream, except you're just tasting the feeling without judging it or resisting it. You're just observing the sensation and breathe, 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 breathe. Okay, take deep inhale, exhale. Now, Vishwa,
Yes.
what is the intensity of your pain now as you're observing it? Is it increasing? If it is, please allow it to, or is it decreasing?
Actually, now since you're guiding me
Hmm.
and asking me to breathe and all, it's like decreasing.
Yeah, so what would you rate it as now?
Now I can rate it around 4.
4. Okay, all of you just watch it till you feel it coming down. Okay, and if you have any questions, put it in the chat and I will answer them. Just watch the sensation. You are totally detached. You have nothing to do with it. You're just watching, okay? And if you want, you can give it a hug. You can say, "Hi, Pib. How are you doing today?" There is no resistance to Pib at all. Now keep breathing. Inhale, slow exhale. Allow Pip to do whatever it wants to do. You're not pushing it to be dissolved. You just let it do whatever it wants to do. Whether it's super intense, where your body is shaking, just watch. Whatever it is, whether it's super intense or just in your heart or just in your stomach, watch it and breathe with it. Okay. Now, Vishwa, from 0 to 10, what is the intensity?
I say now it's like fluctuating, like it's coming up, but then when I'm breathing down, it's like reducing.
Yeah, let it fluctuate. Fluctuating is normal. Okay, for
Okay.
everyone listening, fluctuating is normal. Just keep watching the fluctuation. It's a little dance. It's like the flicker of a lamp. Let it,
Something like that, yeah.
yeah, let it do that. Like you'll watch a lamp, you won't judge the lamp or resist it, right? It's a flicker. Same, you just allow this to flicker in and out of intensity. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and you're just peacefully observing it. But keep breathing. If any thoughts come up, go back to the feeling, just like you're tasting an ice cream. You're just feeling the sensation, no matter how intense. Keep breathing. Okay, now Vishwa, what is the sensation at? Is it still at a 4 or is it below or up?
No, actually, at times there is no feeling.
There's no feeling. Okay, now where
But,
is it at? Is
yeah,
it
but
back?
still that thing is there, like something is there.
Yeah, keep watching that something is there. But what is the intensity of that something?
Now I can say it's between like 4 and 2, like something like that.
4 and 2. Okay, all right, let's put it between 4 and 2. Keep watching it. Keep watching it. So Vishwa, keep watching it. Everyone else, keep watching it till it comes down to about 1 or 2. Okay, I just need to respond to a chat message. Give me a second. Keep breathing, and if thoughts come, just come back to the sensation. Okay, is anybody at a 1 or 2? Anybody here at a 1 or 2 of intensity?
I think I am.
You're
For
at
me, it's like 0.
0.
It's gone.
Okay,
It's completely gone.
good. Anybody else? Anushka, are you coming down or are you going up in intensity?
I'm coming down. It's like 1 or 0.
1 or 0. What about Samrat?
0 and 2, 2 and 0.
2 and 0. And Vishwa?
Yeah, it's gone now.
It's gone. Okay. I just saved you guys about $10,000 in therapy and, and about 10,000 hours of therapy. Nobody had to do anything. Just stay with the pain. Watch it.
The point is, since you're guiding me, I can do it.
Yeah, but I'm okay. So you have a recording now. You can go through it, but eventually you will guide yourself, right?
Okay.
Don't depend on the coach. Always, become your own guidance, right? Because you are not yet at a point where you can separate yourself. But as you practice, you'll be able to separate yourself enough to go through the steps. Okay. So, how many of you experienced this going from a high intensity down to a low intensity by just observing without judgment and resistance? How many of you experienced it?
I
I did.
experienced it.
Yeah, I did.
I did.
Okay, so it's an experience, right? I didn't tell you to believe it. I didn't tell you that this is some magical technique. This is something you yourself can experience, right? So, step number 1 is notice. So, in your week today, okay, notice when you're not feeling good, okay, and notice it's fib. That's your first step. Notice it's fib, okay, without judgment or resistance. Now, this is where most people fall in the first step only because they notice pib and they'll get damn angry that it's pib, right? They'll be like, oh, it's pib again. Oh, God. I notice it's pib, but it's still not going. Resistance. Yeah? This is what many people do. Okay, they're like, I'm watching it, but it's not going. I'm like, what are you doing when you're saying that? You're trying to push it away, you're trying to resist it, and therefore you're only going to create more of it, right? So when I say resistance, you have to allow it to be there. If you want to be there your entire life, you should allow it to be there. You're not adding to it by that. Okay, allowing is literally like this pip is coming here. I'm looking at it. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I'm not reacting to it or judging it. Eventually, you lose its energy and go. I don't have to push it away. Right? Most people are trying to push it away. They're like, oh, I'm observing, not going. It's not going. They're trying to push it away. Right? That's only going to cause more of it. So, in first step, notice PIB. Now, PIB, remember, for those of you who don't have a lot of pain in your life, but you have negative thoughts, but you have self-limiting beliefs, they're all PIB. PIB and his tales. Okay, I'm going to title this document as the Adventurous Tales of PIB. Adventurous Tales of PIB. If I had a coach like myself when I was at your stage, I would have really laughed at myself a lot. Yes, the adventurous tales of Pip. Okay, Pip comes up as all the negativity in your mind and your emotions. Emotions on their own are not negative or positive. But when you suffer in life by internalizing constantly these emotions, that's when you've been taken over. So first step, notice it's Pip. Second step, accept and embrace. It's there. Okay, that's what I was saying. Don't try to push it away. Don't try to ignore it. Don't try to rationalize it. Just accept it's there. We all have it. We all get pissed off from time to time, right? Just accept it's there. No amount of judging it is going to make it go away, right? So accept it's there. Third step is know you are the observer. Very important. Remember what Vishwa was saying that day earlier? I mean, today earlier, he's saying, I'm observing it, but I'm also thinking about all the other things. So I'm not the observer, I'm still, living in the mind. So you must first understand you are the observer. Next step, do not identify with it. Meaning the thoughts, emotions, the general experience happening. Now, what does identify mean? Does anyone know? Do not identify.
Do not connect. Do not think that you're Pip.
Yeah, exactly. Don't make that connection. Don't connect yourself with Pip's thoughts. So let's say Samrat is walking down the street, okay, and he sees something, and suddenly Pip pops his head and he goes, "Oh, this is not good." And then Pip brings up the emotions of feeling it's really small and worthless. Now, Samrat can either identify with Pip and think, yeah, I'm so worthless. I don't know. Nobody likes me. That's how most people are doing. Or you cannot identify and know that this is Pip's thoughts and emotions, not yours. Pip is the one trying to convince you that you're not good enough. Your consciousness, how can you not be good enough? You are the epitome of everything. So you're fine. You're always fine. But Pip is the one who's going, yeah, you see, life is not good. That's okay. So do not identify with what is happening. Vishwa, did you hear me? Do
Yeah.
not identify. I am watching, but it's not going away. It's not consciousness would never say that, right? So you've identified with Pip. Pip is coming up as a thought saying, I am observing, but it's not going away. That's also Pip. Okay, because you're not happy, you're not blissful. It's still Pip. Anything that is not blissful or good is Pip. So do not identify. Then watch. Okay, without judgment, we just call it WJ and WR. Okay, WR. Actively or passively. Now, what that means is, let's say you are in the office and someone says something and it upsets you, and it upsets Pib, and Pib shows up. How do you watch Pib and continue having a conversation with that person? Right? That's the question that comes. How do I multitask? Do I sit down and just watch my pain body as it dissolves, but this person's wondering, what are you doing right now? I'm talking to you. Right? So in this situation, you can split your attention. That's the best part about awareness, is you can be aware of multiple things at the same time. So as you practice, it becomes easier. So you're listening to the conversation, but you're also aware of the sensations in your body. So if your thoughts are taking you away, just come back to the sensation. Okay, so let's say I'm having a conversation with somebody, and Pip is somewhere in the background, is always listening in on the conversation. He's like this creepy aunt, right? She's always around listening to the conversation. Or like a grandmother, she'll always be in the house somewhere listening to the conversation. Same way Pip is there listening to the conversation. And something is being said and it triggers off Pip, because remember, Pip is in the background. It needs something to feed itself, and it finds the reason. Oh, this is it. I have so much pain regarding it, so it's going to show up like this surge of pain, so much of anger, so much of pain. And you just want to say something back to that person. You just want to yell back at the person, take Pip and, go activate the Pip in that person, and then that Pip and this Pip starts having a fight, right? That's how all fights are, it's just between two Pips, right? Now, the other situation is you're listening to the person, Pip is showing up, and you notice, feel it in my stomach, feel it in my heart. There's a lot of Pib here. Okay, it's intense. I'm not saying it's not intense, but it's still Pib. Now I'm listening to the person and I'm noticing this anger isn't me. It's nothing to do with that person. Its trigger isn't me. That person, whether he intended to hurt you or not, it's neutral. Remember our first session, right? All situations are neutral unless you make it mean something. So, or unless we make PIB make it mean something. So now PIB shows up, and you're listening to the person, and then you're noticing this, and you're just listening and you're just passively noticing, and you're saying hi PIB. In your mind, you're like hi PIB, or just as awareness, you're just noticing and you're listening to the person, and you'll kind of breathe, and eventually PIB will either go intense or not intense, and eventually it will resolve, and you continue listening to that person, or you continue doing your work. So you're kind of, you're doing both at the same time. So you can apply this to physical pain also. So I used to have a lot of toothache issues. So when my tooth would ache, it's also pain body. It's just pain being stuck somewhere in the gums. Energy gets stuck somewhere, and that's called pain. When energy gets stuck, it's pain. Okay. So even pain, any pain, is all the energy rushes to one place, and that's basically the same sensation of pain. So as you observe it, the pain starts dissipating a little bit. So I would just watch it and I just continue doing my work or whatever. And as I'm watching it, naturally, I'm kind of multitasking, but I'm still observing without judgment and resistance. I'm not telling the pain to go away. I'm not judging it as a bad thing. It's just a sensation. The toughest of toughest pain, you can watch it. You can watch even the most intense pain because you're not suffering. You're just observing the intensity. It's like somebody comes and does this to you. You watch it. It's a sensation on your skin. Okay, somebody is doing this to you. Or are you feeling a pain? Or you feeling pain? Body is upset. It's just a sensation, an intense sensation. You'll watch it. You'll watch it. Just like you can eat, Karela. When you eat Karela, I don't know if Rupendra, you know what Karela is, right?
I
Bilkul.
drink juice every day, so I
Yeah.
know Karela very well.
So Karela to many people is unbearable, right? But to many people it is bearable. So it only goes to show that if you don't judge something, you can bear any sensation, any intensity of anything, including Karela. Okay, but if you judge it and resist it, you'll be like, "Bah, bah, I can't, right? This is what most people do with
Is that
their
bitter gourd?
yeah, bitter good.
Okay.
Okay, we try to Google it. Oh, sorry. Vishwa ko Hindi. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's the same.
Okay.
The pain body is like Karela. Okay, it could be really bitter, but it's still just a taste. You can sit with any taste. There's nothing that, I mean, it's not never going to take over you if you just watch it.
Mm.
Okay? So we're going to do one more practice. We're going to take something a little bit more intense and we're going to do the same thing. Okay?
I need to add one thing.
Go on.
So it's like when I'm reading news. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So when I'm reading news, something about this ISIS issues and all. So there's some lot of genocides and some other incidents happening now. So sometimes I feel like I am in that place and it's my family or it's my sisters are affecting it.
Yeah.
So it's like actually I am in a calm place, but after reading this the whole day, it will be like what will be their feeling.
Yeah. So that's a very good question. Empathy.
Yeah,
Empathy.
that only empathy.
So one thing is to be empathizing. Okay. Everyone has a sense of empathy. At least I hope everyone has a sense of empathy. The other thing is to suffer. Now Vishwa can feel empathy, but does he have to suffer the whole day because of this?
It's like
Okay.
I'll build different scenarios like
Yeah. So where are you? Yeah. So you remember what we were discussing last session, right? The mind.
yeah.
You need to just tag. See, understand, Vishwa, and I will hit your ego here, so be prepared. That's what shit is supposed to do. No matter how much you thought about your situation with the ISIS and the situation with the women and trafficking, did it change the situation in the real place?
No, it won't change. Like
It didn't change, right? So is it necessary for you to go into all of that? Because
okay.
underneath your, going through this, the one second, I have to mute somebody. Underneath Vishwa, and this is because I know Vishwa, underneath Vishwa going through the scenarios in the head of what's going on in ISIS and how the women feeling and how the people in the village is feeling, he's first of all lost presence. He's not in the present moment. He's not living his life. He is fueling, by the way, Vishwa and many people are fueling the situation by thinking about it constantly. The reason why we have so much of pain and suffering in this world is because we fuel pain and suffering by constantly projecting it in the news, resisting it, judging it, resisting and judging it, to a point where we create it. You remember the law of attraction, right? What you focus on grows. So Vishwa is actually adding to the situation of the eye. Says, I'm not judging you, I'm evaluating you. Vishwa is adding to the situation of the horrible things happening in the world by constantly judging it and resisting it. But that energy field he's holding inside of him of the pain of the women and of the thing is actually causing more of it in the world because your vibration is your reality, which is why Vishwa will see more negative news than any of us combined because that's what he focuses on as part of his work as an IAS candidate, right? He has to read the newspaper. So if he continues to resist everything he reads, that's all he's going to read about. He's going to see the news more than anybody else. Like in my family, any negative thing happens, these guys know it before I ever even knew something like this happened. Because they focus on it so much that they just keep pulling it into their life. So somebody in their family, something horrible will happen. Or they'll see some WhatsApp forward. Something at the end, their entire life becomes this hopscotch of just negativity because that's what they're feeding, right? It's Pib. Pib loves drama. Remember this. Pib loves drama and pain. So PIP is causing you to think about all of these things because it feeds it. That's why when you see women suffering, you go into so much of suffering yourself. It's PIB. Now, underneath Vishwa's PIB is also this need for being this nice person. So he feels that if he feels the pain of other people and suffers himself, it makes him a good person. That's also PIB. Because PIB, you understand? A lot of people have multiple reasons why you should suffer. A lot of people think if I suffer in my life, it gives my life meaning. It gives my life substance. Suffering makes my life worthwhile. That's PIB. It's not spirit. Spirit did not come here to suffer. Right? I can come to this planet, live my happy life, not add to the ISIS situation and die. And I would have lived peacefully. Right? But if I come to this planet and suffer and suffer and suffer and add more suffering into the world, and then I die, did I change the world in any way? Now, here's a very important question. You can empathize and change the world. But for you to continue suffering, you will never change the world because all you're focused on is problems.
Okay.
Understand? Most of these guys who are on wars against drugs, war against poverty, war against lack of shelter, war against the immigrants. Guess what's happening in the world? There's more drugs now. There's more poverty now. There's more immigrants now. Just because we are against it so much, we resist and judge it so much that we've created a world full of it. So if you're telling me that resistance and judgment causes solutions, then why haven't we found solutions? They just cause more pain and suffering in the world. You put on Times now, what do you see? You see people yelling, 500 screens yelling. And it's resisting judging. Yeah, how can you do this? Hindu, Muslim. Guess what's happening? Till this day in this country, there is animosity between Hindus and Muslims. So if you're telling me talking about it and judging and resisting it and causing solutions, it's not. It's only causing more problems. When you embrace and accept this thing is there, then we can look at solutions. You understand what I'm saying with the pain body? Yeah. When you can embrace that you have pain in your body, you can then look for solutions. Understand the difference? Is everyone following me so far? Anushka, are you following?
Yeah.
Kartika, I have a question. If my mind is thinking about positive things and it is in my own reality, whereas 55 million other minds are thinking about the negative things, then the reality of my country and my reality are two different realities, right? So if I want to sort of align my reality with the external reality, of not me but the people and the country or the world, then what is the solution there? Because there are so many more minds which are thinking about the negative.
Yeah.
And they are not doing this course as well.
Yes. Yeah. Very good question. Here's the thing. First of all, there's no my country, your country. No, it's just the world. Let's just call it our world.
Our world. Okay.
Okay. It's our temporary house while our soul is in this body. Right. It's our temporary home. And so let's call it our planet. Because the moment you go into my country, your country, you've already lost presence and you've gone into separatism, right? Which is the illusion of the mind. There's no separatism. None of us are separate from each other. We're all one. Okay. Now let's just call it our temporary home or planet. Now, your consciousness is connected to everyone's consciousness. Okay? If you've seen these experiments that have been done in many scientific places where they've had people meditate in mass meditation, and it's affected the crime rates of that city where they meditated. I don't know how many of you have seen these hundreds of studies like this where mass meditations have caused the crime rates of that city to drop or have caused change in the world. Okay. By the way, there's a lot of positive. Actually, the positive in the world outweighs the negative in the world. It's just because we have these idiots called CNN and BBC in times now who keep talking about this that we actually only see negatives in our world. It's actually there's more positive than there's negative. This is a fact, not a belief. Okay, because if you guys are normal, yeah, because 7.5 billion people in this world. If many of us are normal and not going out shooting people and raping people, there's a lot more positive in the world than negative. Okay, it's just that we highlight the negative so we create more. So now your consciousness is connected to everyone's consciousness. Your consciousness affects everyone's consciousness. So when you are, whether you're in the mindful state, which is more powerful than being in a positive mindset, when you're in the mindfulness state and you're observing your own pain regarding the ISIS situation, let's say, okay, you are connected to the entire everyone's mind. Okay, Vishwa's mind is connected to everyone's mind. When he is observing his pain regarding the ISIS and dissolving it, it's also dissolving considerably from everyone because we have one consciousness. This right here is more theoretical than practical because we can't really say how, we can't quantifiably, scientifically figure out how much of the pain is being reduced. But by him observing things, he is actually changing the world by neutralizing at least his addition to the situation. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So instead of him adding to the situation, at least that level of suffering, he is
Here, how can we neutralize it?
by watching the pain body, what you just did.
Okay.
Okay, so he's observing his pain around the ISIS, which is causing a little bit of a calming and some energy. See, ISIS is an energy field. Okay, ISIS is an energy field. Okay, energy field, and as you observe it without judgment and resistance within yourself, don't listen to the news media and they're yelling and screaming. You do it within yourself. That level of you haven't added to the energy field, and if anything, you've dissolved it a little bit more. If everyone did this in the world, okay, it will affect even ISIS because ISIS is also part of everyone. Understand? The pain that ISIS is going through. This is what Ho'oponopono is about, right? The pain. See, ISIS is a group of people who've been brainwashed by their pib and everybody else's pib. A bunch of elders got possessed by their own pib and started telling the youths that, oh, this is injustice. We must now do whatever they did, and then they go and create more pib in the world. You understand what I'm saying? Only hurt people hurt other people. So it's basically pib in different forms is what manifested as ISIS and other terrorist groups and white supremacy and all the rapists and all of these are people who've been overcome possessed by pib. Okay, a rapist man. Okay, I know we're running out of time, so I'll just complete it. A man who's a rapist. Okay, he has gotten so possessed by his base desires, so possessed by his lack of clarity or whatever, that he goes ahead and rapes a child. It's pib.
Okay.
Understand? It's pib. Same way, if we keep going, anti-rapist, because we are hurt by what has happened, what are we fueling more of? We're fueling more of rape. If you study this consensus, rape has not fallen down. It's gone up. So you're talking about awareness, but you're not being aware. You're being judgmental of what's happening, and that's causing more, right? So these are questions that...
Kartika,
Yes, go on.
so adding on, so I have a follow-up question. So in case, say you're a social worker and you're working towards a cause, for instance, say women empowerment or you're against domestic violence.
Don't be against it. Be pro happy families. What you're against, you'll...
Okay.
Right? So awareness, yeah, go on.
Okay, so when you're in a field like that, what can you do? That negativity is all around you and you have to know about it so that you can do something.
Look at my field. I work with people's negativity all the time. Now, here's a very good question. First of all, Negativity, understand now that you know this, okay, is when you're a social worker, you can be aware of people's pain and you can work towards solutions. Suffering is not a necessary part of this equation. I can be aware of your pain. I know all of your pain. But am I suffering because of your pain? No. But am I giving you solutions to your pain and getting you to the other side? Yes.
Yes.
So was suffering a necessary part for me to give you this knowledge and help you out? No. I was
No.
aware of it. I know that there is suffering in the world, and I know that my spirit wants to make sure that everyone's okay. So I gave you solutions. Same way with animal shelters, right? The more we suffer about animals and the things going on in the world, you're just creating more of it. But if you just observe, it is what it is. People are treating animals badly. Yes, there is injustice. Yes, all this is happening. But if I continue to fight against this, I will continue to create this. So if I drop my judgment and resistance, what is? It is what it is. Unfortunate. I get it. It is unfortunate. It's everyone's pib is causing, affecting the animals, is affecting other people. Everyone's pib is doing this, and I understand that. Now what can I do? I embrace this is what it is. This is the reality of our world. Now let me look at solutions. But if I have to go home and suffer about it, that's not going to change the fact that solutions will come anyway. Suffering is a choice.
Okay.
Now your ego will say, "Oh, but it's good to suffer because animals are suffering. It's good to suffer when other people are suffering."
Yeah, I always feel as selfish.
Yeah, that is a conditioning. That's
Okay.
ego. That's ego feels selfish. Ego feels bad. Ego is like my parents taught me. If I have to be a good person, I have to suffer for other people. But you can feel empathy. That's what I wrote here. Empathy versus suffering. You can feel empathetic. I'm empathetic towards everyone. I'm empathetic towards animals. I'm empathetic towards women. I will not stand for their suffering. I will make sure I get them to the other side. But do I have to personally go into depression for me to do that? No. I can do that even without going into depression, right? By not
Okay.
acting into it. And I'm giving you an actual example of me doing that with you guys right now. So I'm not talking theoretically. Because everyone asks me this. Hey, by the way, for those who need to leave, you can leave. Those who want to stay and listen, you can stay. But I'll just tell you your homework real quick. Your homework is pain body. What you did today, watching it, no matter where it shows up, and breathe with it. And remember this importance. Okay, don't be in this space. Don't judge yourself for having the pain body and resist it and push it down and keep waiting for it to dissolve and push it, and don't do all that. Allow it to be there, allow it to get as intense as it wants to. Continue doing whatever you're doing. Just acknowledge it's there. That's all you need to do, or sit with it till it's dissolved. Okay, that's your homework. Every day, whenever you feel even the slightest irritation, just go, "Hey, Pip, what's up?" And then watch. Breathe with it.
Okay.
So the day you notice a difference between you and Pip, you will never have a mental breakdown. Okay? You will notice. And sometimes we can't notice it and we go into a mental breakdown, but that's also okay. Look back and notice it was just Pip, and then continue living in the present moment. Never judge yourself for being in Pip. Okay? Because it's a habit. We've lived inside Pip for so long that we can't sometimes notice that we are still inside Pip. Right? So even after you have your breakdown and you have the mental meltdown, which will happen because mindfulness will bring up all of this, just notice that after you go through all of that, it was just Pip. It wasn't you. And then you can continue and then wait for Pip to come back again. Expect Pip, invite Pip, enjoy Pip. Okay? Enjoy dissolving. Did everyone understand the homework?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this is every time and anytime you feel anything apart from being good, just watch the feeling, breathe. Okay, or sit with it for some time and breathe. That's all it is.
Okay.
So this
Thank
is going to be more strenuous than easy, but
Yeah.
attempt it. Don't try to master it, but attempt it. Okay. All right. So that's basically it. I'll stop the recording in a.
Kartika,
Hmm.
I have another question.
Hmm.
So sometimes I go through this phase when everything is all right, everything is happy. I think Pib is very dormant at that
Dominant.
point of time.
Yes.
And then with my awareness, I attract drama into my life. I
Yeah.
go, oh, life is very boring at the moment.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it actually happens.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that I'm doing it, but I'm not able to stop myself from doing it.
Yeah. Because you haven't practiced. Because
Okay.
okay, so understand this. Everyone, pay attention. It is very important. Stimulus and response. The gap between these two right now for you guys is very small because you all are just starting. I told you all are in training wheel stage, right? The gap is very small. So sometimes it's hard for you to watch your stimulus because you react too quickly. Just not able to control it. But as you practice, the gap becomes slightly more. Then you begin to notice it's just split bonding drama. And then you can drop it. But till you practice, you wouldn't know how to increase the gap. Okay, which is why I've given you that first two exercises to increase the gap. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, let me unmute everyone. Anushka, any questions?
No.
So, Kartika, I have a question. Like, as we are talking about the pain, right? But in my case, I was trying to see if I can cope up with my diabetes, which is not creating any cause of pain, but I know I am a diabetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
So,
I know I
how?
am a diabetic. Okay. So okay. To give you the answer to that one, there is some energy in you. Okay, whether that's a gene that is active of a diabetic gene or whatever that's causing it, it's causing the physical experience of. I know you have to go, no, Rupendra. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm muting. Rupendra, you have to go, right? Because your car is not stuck in snow.
No, I fixed it. I went and I pulled the car from snow. I hope this is the last snow for us, but I mean, it is
No
what it is.
judgment, no resistance. Let the snow happen. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Have warmth in your house. Okay. So some energy is causing diabetes. Okay.
Hmm.
Now it doesn't cause you pain, but you have a lot of thoughts around your diabetes.
Yeah.
And memories of when you had a hypo, or you're having to take injections, or however you take your insulin. Okay. This stuff is, it may not be an active pain body, but it is still there as program in your mind. So when you tag and drop this, I'm not saying your diabetes will be cured. I don't know because I haven't cured anyone's diabetes just yet. But I know that you can cure it with Ho'oponopono, the Hawaiian healing technique of
No,
cleaning up.
I'm trying that. Yeah, I'm trying that.
Yeah.
I have to see the result yet, but I'm trying that.
Yeah,
Ho'oponopono.
so I have not experienced this because I don't. I mean, I'm supposedly supposed to have a gene of diabetes, but I don't think about any of these, so I'm pretty much healthy. But a lot of this stuff, if you can drop your resistance and judgment to the experience of diabetes and stuff, fueling it constantly, you might notice that either you're not getting mentally affected by the diabetes, and your experience around sweets and your experience around your hypos and stuff like that might change. Like for example, my dad, he embraces his hypos because it gives him an excuse to eat a lot of sugar. Okay, so for him there's no personal suffering around diabetes, but he has a lot of thoughts that say things like, oh, why did I have this at such a young age? I got it, and disabled me. I couldn't get into the army. I couldn't do this. So this stuff causes a suffering. Okay, so that's at the level that I can teach you. You can drop your suffering to these things here. Okay, to your insulin intake, to your memories of diabetes, to your thoughts, and that will cause the diabetes to be less of a hindrance in your life, at least from the level of your mind and your emotions. Physically,
Okay.
you have to experiment and see, because I haven't personally done it, but it's possible.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try. I will try it.
Kartika,
Yeah.
can you elaborate on how you can use Ho'oponopono for diabetes?
Well, not in this session because we've kind of lost our timing, and I this is a mindfulness class, but I'll try to talk about it in our live on Monday.
Okay,
Just
cool.
write a question somewhere. I'll put a post up. Just write it in the comments,
Yeah,
and
sure.
okay, anything can be dissolved through Ho'oponopono because everything to exist in this universe has an energy field because it's an energetic universe, right? So when you dissolve the energetic field or transmute it into a different field, that physical aspect of it also will dissolve. So I'll talk more about that later. But I just wanted to conclude. Those who want to leave can leave. I think Samrat is already gone. In my field, right, a lot of people ask me, how do you, throughout the day, you're with clients who are talking about their negativity, right? Do I personally suffer in behalf of my clients? No. Because if I did that, I'm not doing them any favor. I'm only adding to more suffering in the world. Right? So, how do I deal with 75 clients a week? How do I deal with this? It's just by embracing that it is what it is. Remember, first session we wrote judgment and resistance means to non-judge and to not be resistant means to embrace it is what it is. It's a person experiencing something, and I create the solution for the person. I don't have to personally suffer to allow the person to experience the best life that they possibly can. Same as a social work, same as an animal rescue. You don't have to personally suffer. This thing of having to suffer in the public eye and show people I'm Maneka Gandhi about everything, that's a choice that you make. That's a choice that you make. You can still help million people and do really good things in the world without having to personally suffer. You can be empathetic, you can feel sad, but you don't have to suffer and go into depression and kill yourself. A lot of people do that, right? A lot of people get into depression, kill themselves. And see, the thing is, the more you practice mindfulness, the more you'll be inspired to create solutions that works for everyone. You're not unconscious. Those who have to butcher animals for a living or have to pick garbage for a living, these guys have to become unconscious. They have to put alcohol in their body before they go for work. If you have seen that, right? They have to become unconscious before they do that kind of work where they have to kill animals and stuff for a living. But when you become conscious, you will realize that that's not what you want to do. You'll find out solutions. The universe will come up with solutions where we can get machines to do the garbage stuff and we'll stop killing animals because we're no longer coming from pain body. Pain body is the thing that feels that animals is just for us, we should kill them, we should eat them. Spirit didn't tell that. Spirit knows that animals and you are the one and the same. There's no difference between a human and an animal. You're all the same spirit, right? One spirit. Why would you kill yourself? Same thing. So I won't go into all of that now. But that's what I'm saying. Is get solutions. You don't have to suffer with that whole social working situation. Okay, same with ISIS. You don't have to personally suffer to affect the world positively, even with ISIS. Did that answer everyone's questions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Karthik, I have one more. Will you be able to answer?
Depends on the question because it's already 30 minutes past call time and I have to go also because everyone's waking up. But it depends on your question. We can answer next class also. So,
Okay, the next class. It's not urgent. So it's
Anyway, ask it. We can.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so after years of practicing mindfulness and years of sort of immersing yourself with all of this, what's your pain body like now? Does it still come up, or have you gained control of it completely? What is
Okay,
it like now?
very good question. So, yeah, oh, it's amazing question. First of all, when a level of your suffering goes away, your pain body kind of convinces you to not practice. Okay,
To not?
to not practice. Because in our case,
Oh,
we had
okay.
anxiety and all that. We got rid of anxiety. We got free from all of that stuff, free from our major suffering. So the small kind of suffering we didn't care about to be present and watch it and all that because the ego is still vested in its nonsense, right? So we get a little too comfortable living in the ego. So what
Hmm.
happened with me is that I dissolved my pain around anxiety. I no longer have anxiety. But remember my childhood, right? It was a horrible childhood. And I was always me against the world, me against the world. And that pain it's so deep inside that it only comes up in the present moment when you are triggered by something. So somebody's pain body can't completely go unless you've dissolved every trigger, which means you've gone into every situation and
Hmm.
experienced a trigger and then dissolved it in the moment. So you can't have your pain body completely disappear. But in my case, my bounce back rate is unparalleled. Meaning, even if I get triggered, and Vishwa knows this very well because 1 second I'll be triggered, the next second I'm back to yeah, and then he'll be like, "How are you today?" I'll be like, "Was I mad about something? I can't even remember, because I dissolved it then and there." So Vishwa knows this. So the one day something will happen. I watch the pain body. I'll get while the pain body is there, I'll be doing whatever and I'll be watching the pain body and the next moment it's gone and I'm back to normal. So for me it's a constant cycle of just dissolving it, but the bounce back rate, I can never be suffering in this lifetime because I can never hold the pain body into the next day. I'll dissolve it then and there and then it goes into the next day and I just enjoy my day that way. So long story short, for me, even if the most something that happens to a normal person, they'll dwell into it and delve into it for a long time, months even, years even. Me, I will dwell in it for that one day. That's it. It doesn't get carried into the next day. That's the benefit of practicing. And it's not that I practiced for years. I only found out about mindfulness in 2015.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't know about this before. That's why I teach it with so much passion, because I've gone through the experience of this and come out on the other side just within a short time, right? So only 3 years, and it's been the most rewarding journey, which is why I'm like this massive evangelist. I will teach mindfulness till the end of the earth, like, because I've seen myself come from complete pain and suffering in my life to just living and enjoying, right? And you notice it's moment to moment. Pain comes, goes. You're not suffering and you're not holding on to it. It's just allowed to come, you're allowed to go. So pain body will always come. You just keep saying hi, what's up, and then dissolve. Then the next level of it will come. Then say hi. And then eventually you'll become enlightened. The end of pain body is enlightenment, where there is nothing that can affect. Understand? You're still human, you still feel emotions, but it never imprints you. That is the state that Muji Baba is in, or Eckhart Tolle, or anybody who's been enlightened like Ramana Maharishi. Ramana Maharishi, by the way, he became enlightened by through dissolving the pain body. He had a panic attack. I don't know if you guys know the story. Ramana Maharishi thought that he was dying because he had a panic attack. He didn't know what a panic attack was. Unlike most of us who get a panic attack, who go, oh no, what's happening? I have to survive this. I have to go out of this place. I have to take medication. I have to do this. And we keep resisting and judging and persisting with the situation, getting stuck and suffering because of anxiety. Our friend Ramana Maharishi, he said, oh, I'm dying. So let the death come. And he just lay down in his bed and he said, come. He just allowed the panic to come through him. And it came through him and it just left his body. And ever since then, he was enlightened. Same with Eckhart Tolle, the power of now. He was in so much depression, so much pain in his life. One day, something clicked. He just said, hey, if I can't live with myself, then who is myself? Are there two people here? And he just realized that, and suddenly some tunnel vision happened to him, and suddenly he woke up and he realized next morning there was no pain anymore in his life, and he was just in the present. Right? If you've seen that story. So most people's enlightenment comes through deep pain and suffering, which is why I tell you guys, your pain body is your golden goose for you to experience any sort of high. Which is why I tell people, even in the life, for you to do anything, you need to first do mindfulness. Understand? Okay, all right. So I'm gonna stop the screen share. I keep answering questions immediately as you ask them, but for the questions, I'll deal with it next class. Practice your pain body. I'm there on the chat because you're going to need me this week. All right, on the phone. Anything comes up, privately text me or text me in the group, and I will walk you through the process. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I will. Vishwa has the recording, so Vishwa just uploaded on my channel privately and send me the link. I'll send it to everyone. Okay?
Actually, till now also I am recording. So should I cut it or upload?
Yeah. Stop it now. Stop it now.
Okay.
Okay. All right, you guys.
Okay.
I'll end the meeting.